What is going on, YouTube scene? Gradelock here. I'm your host, Henrico, and I gotta say to all my wonderful, beautiful faces in the world, this is just miss you, love you, love you. In today's video, we got a deck profile with John with Chaos. He has new support from Star Galaxy, and he's gonna break down the deck for us. Take it away, John.
Yeah, so sorry it was a little late, but you know, Henry's been slow in getting me cards, so I had to do it now. I don't even have the PCs, thank you, Henry.
I'm sorry.
So, yeah, we're going to be starting with the starter. It's Cardfight. Universally the best starter for Chaos. It's pretty much a Conroe. You don't add it to hand, but you call it to board. Gives access to sinks and bolt lines, so you always have access to the best grade ones in your deck at all times. It also builds soul. And move on to grade 3s. You run the best Vanguard ever, Crisis, locking every time you ride, stride, is really good, especially since you can do it both in the same turn, and being able to pop during either player's turn when a card unlocks is really good. Doesn't matter that it's only once. If you can combo it off with the Destiny Guardian or do it against Messiahs, it mainly just helps you out a lot. Then you play 4 close because this card's just absolutely busted. The Vanguard skill is not that good. It's on ride or on stride, discard 1, off 1 on the board. Mainly don't want it to be on Vanguard because discard effect is the best part about it. You get to just lock 1 from your opponent's hand by a Soul Blast. It makes, as long as you have a heart as long as you have a heart with Chaos. So it just makes things a lot better for the turn. It just makes you be able to lock down more columns a lot more sufficiently without having to use too many grade 2s that require you to lock stuff. And in combo with Deluge, just locks so much on that turn. Best grade 2 in the deck is Dumnium. On attack, GB2, counter +1. Your opponent has to rip one from the hand. If they do not, this card gets 10k, and you get the draw card. Puts in a lot of work. This is where most of my counterblast goes because this is a really good attacker. Puts in a lot of pressure, and it just puts your opponent in very uncomfortable spots, considering that it even provides you value, even if you have it just alone on the board. And its second ability, Soul Blast 1, kill it, and your opponent has to lock the card, is also really good because in certain matchups, it lets you lock early on units that your opponent usually has free access to, especially even in the Chaos matchup. Some matchups where this is prevalent against is Deleters, because you get to ensure a lockdown on a card so they can't give in, even if they ride to grade 3 first, because this is able to lock. And against ZTB, because this can lock Dran Z if, before they go to grade 2 if they made you go first and you have 2 grade 2s in your hand, including this. Because it would be their only grade 2 to choose, and then they can't use their 10k to attack. 3 Strange Dragon. This card is, in my opinion, really good in the deck because it puts in a lot of work early game. It just allows to lock down columns, and it's a good booster after that turn is placed. And even if it's placed down past GB, it provides you power plays. If your opponent's board is locked down, it can ensure locks by free range of attacking. It just puts in a lot of work, and it just makes things a lot better for the deck, considering that it has more utility overall. 3 Glob, because Geese is kind of prevalent, and I still don't like this card that much, but the fact that it deals with resist units and it helps you in the Geese matchup to get rid of the Zeroth dragons, it's just invaluable. Super, super important. It's also a beat stick that gains 6k. It's really good. 2 Photon. I've said in a lot of lists that Photon is important, but at this point in time, too many decks have too many resist units, and I only really keep it in here for pinpoints on one card to lock down, or in the early game if I still need to see it. I'm even considering cutting this because I really don't use this card that often.
We don't need more weapon trash.
Then run 4 of the Starvader PG. I have been, well, it's not that I have been wrong, it's just that a lot of matchups beforehand didn't have 3 lock cards, so it was very hard to get the skill off. But now, thanks to GBT 14, you have Darkness, and Gears, and Nubatama. A lot of matchups that just have their lock cards stay there, so you can gain value off of them, and plus you cards to hand. And especially in some matchups, the plussing to hand is really important, especially like against Regalia. You sometimes just need the hand against them. And shout out to CK for the sleeve, because you know, Henry doesn't decide to bring them. Then one of the best stride fighters in the game is the Penrose Gate. Check top 7, add a Chaos, or Soul Blast. Only if you go into a Chaos, but it allows you free range into any Starvader stride. The only non-Starvader stride is Stark, but at that point you're not using your stride fighter to go into Stark. For Zinc, because this card is really important, Soul is so much of a resource in this deck now that this thing is really important to grab, even if you have your starter to grab it, because in some scenarios your starter may die, your starter may get locked, your starter may get spinned. So you just want to make sure that you have 4 copies of it to always make sure you open it and have access to it.
Really? Oh, that's so cool.
Volt Line, because in some matchups you want the Omega Lock to stay. Against ZTB, if you Omega Lock a unit before the Heritage, the locked unit in the front row will at least stay there, so this is why this card is good. And in some matchups like Grade 1 Rush, or any Rush deck that's still prevalent, you want to Omega Lock the front row as soon as possible, and this card may help. I found more use in a card like this as opposed to Metaton Axe, so I've just always been playing Bolt Line. 4 Paradigm Shifts, because returning Crit is really good for the deck, for locking the back row. 4 shiny Crit Triggers, because these cards are also really good because they're shiny. That means we always hit them. Not really. 4 Draw Triggers, because they go to Soul, they give power to fix columns, and they give Soul for Deluge and such. And 4 of the Starvader heal triggers that bind themselves, because this card puts in mad value the fact that its soul charges or counter charges. Both of the resources are important in this deck, and it's a Starvader, so now literally there's no chance of not wasting a counter blast because everything is a Starvader. And now we move on to strides. We have 2 Universe. This stride is really good because of the fact that you are guaranteed to get a lockdown on one of your opponent's front row. It rips a card from your opponent's hand, GB3 lock card. It just does everything that you want in a card, and it's really good as a first stride option. You really don't go into it at any point after that. Mainly just first stride. Then we play 2 Aldamania. He's actually really good at people don't think he is, but when he's plays Soul Blast 1, your opponent has to lock 2. It's like Carnivore. If they can't lock 2, then you get to draw 2 and give 3 units 2k as an auto skill. There are actually some matchups where this is prevalent, because if your opponent's playing around a Universe, then you can be able to use this card to guaranteed lock down some of the front row. And sometimes it's just more important to draw 2 than it is to lock down your opponent. Like against Geese, if you have the chance, I would actually rather Aldamine, because it digs for my globs. And in that matchup, I need to be able to close and glob them more than anything. So that this card actually puts in a lot of work, and the fact that it's able to flip over any Chaos unit, you have free range to flip over your Universes if you actually rather prefer them. Then you play 3 Deluge. People may think I'm crazy, but there are matches where you may need the 3 Deluge. This card is absolutely insane in some control matchups like Overlord, or in situations where your opponent keeps healing. You want to have access to this so that you're able to keep pushing your opponent up in damage and making sure that their board is still on lockdown. Because this card in combination with Close is absolutely disgusting, and it forces the opponent's board into a lockdown state so fast it's not even funny. It's literally your best stride. And I know I say it's literally your best stride, but you play 4 Glue Balls. You barely go into this card, to be perfectly honest. Glue Ball is good for the power push turns, but he's mainly only in here for if I'm out of resource like Counterblast, I can still lock down my opponent's board with little to no effort as long as there's no resist units and push in and swing. I barely go into this card anymore because Deluge is just crammed, but and that's funny to say because it's 4 slots in my G-Zone, but the card is really good and you have to keep playing it. And then, you know, obvious Stark, because this card is just a killing card. You run it because it's a killing card. Counterblast 2, it doesn't rest when it attacks, and it attacks 3 times for 36. I've used Stark like 5 times, and 2 of the times it failed me. It did kill, but you know, people hit heals, so it's a good card nonetheless. So like Stark's a finish card, and for Link Joker to finally have a finish card is like wow. You run 1 Locust Karina because this card is really important in some matchups, mainly being ZTB, because you can lock down your opponent's back row and shut off units like the sheep, like the draw. You can just be able to make guarantee that you don't have to deal with as much pressure from your opponent with this card. It's really busted. And the downgrade a little bit is Cosmo Wreath. This card is still good though. I just wish it was a choice of which gets locked. It's kind of bust one. Your opponent chooses a unit in the back row and locks it. And it gets 5k. So overall, it's a really, really strong card. And then 2 Destiny Guardians because it's the best shield that we have in Link Joker. And overall, plus 10k shield and then drawing on your opponent's turn is really good. But overall, that is the deck, guys. I thank you guys for watching, and I would like if you would leave your opinions in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the deck and would like to see more from the channel. Furthermore, thank you, and if you would like to see more, hit the subscribe button and comment down below what you liked about the video. I'm just thankful. Thank you guys. Anyway, we'll talk to you later. Bye guys.